Years and years and years, decades ago, Cadillac was kind of king of the world. Cadillac used to be the standard of the world even, and then the 80s happened and it all went to shit. Then the late 90s happened and things started getting better. Then the 2000s happened and they got way better. And here we are in 2016, and Cadillac's in a pretty good place. But they're not all the way back. They're a little confused in some areas. They're currently building some amazing, super luxurious, insanely sporty cars. They finally have a full-size SUV that's actually good. The new Escalade is wonderful. But the CT5 feels confused. This might also be confused. This is the CT6, and it's bigger than a midsize, but it's smaller than a full-size. It's not quite the XTS. It's a little bit more than a CTS. I don't really know what to think about it. That's why I'm driving it, and I brought it to the Hooniverse Highway Hoonie Grounds to find out what it is. So let's see if we can do that. All right, hold up. Before we get into how this thing drives, I want to take a minute to talk about how the Cadillac CT6 looks, because this is where the car excels. This is the best part of the car, is its styling. It's a big, bold Cadillac. Right up front, you've got the grille that's in your face. It's vertical. On the Platinum, it's different than the rest of the available CT6 trims. These wheels, these multi-spoke wheels, look fantastic. There's not a lot of fake chrome on this car like you would expect to find on a GM product that's gone away because it doesn't look luxurious, but this car does. The proportions are big and great. It does look like a little bit bigger CTS, and it is. This Cadillac badge here on the side looks great. I mean, I'm telling you, inside and out, this thing is a stunner. The headlights and the taillights, which I think this trend really got started on the new Escalade, and they come here and they got this waterfall effect with the LEDs. It just works. Day or night, these things look great. So the best part about the CT6 is how it looks. Now we can get into how it drives. So this is the big bad new Cadillac CT6. It's basically an extension of the CTS. Now the CTS doesn't sit in a unique space. It's a mid-size luxury sedan. The CT6 is a little bit bigger, but it's not full-on full size. This is where we have a bit of a problem. Does this compete with the S-Class and 7 Series cars of the world, or does it offer you basically an extended legroom luxury mid-size sedan? A mid-size sports sedan, certainly. The CT6 leaves me a little bit underwhelmed in some spots, happy in other spots, and just kind of confused in others. Some neat facts about this car: the base version, which is a rear-wheel drive car with a 2-liter turbocharged engine, weighs just 3,657 pounds. That is 1,000 pounds lighter than the least expensive S-Class. It's lighter than BMW's 5 Series. It's incredibly light. The version I'm driving here is the fully loaded 3-liter twin turbocharged equipped Platinum all-wheel drive. Now this one comes in around 4,000 pounds. It's still 600 pounds lighter than the equivalent S-Class. That's light. It's not as luxurious as that Mercedes. It's not as luxurious as the 7 Series. It's more on par to what maybe an Audi A8 offers. And even there, it's lacking in some spots, but again, it's better in others. Speaking of that 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine, because it is pretty sweet. It's making 404 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. And of course, it's backed up by that GM 8-speed. This is the same gearbox found in the Corvette Stingray in the Z06, in the ATS-V, in the CTS-V, in the Escalade, in the Tahoe, in the new Camaro. I don't love it. I've made that quite clear. Where I've enjoyed it the most has been in my review of the CTS-V. And here in the CT6, I'm getting similar feelings. It feels better in a larger car. I imagine in the Escalade it's probably nice as well. But on the Alpha platform stuff, no thank you. In the Corvette, not having it. Here though, just cruising around town, it's fantastic. We are not dealing with a V-badged car, so I'm not expecting V-badged performance. So around town, and even on this curvy canyon road, the Hooniverse Highway Hooning Grounds of Ortega Highway, it's fine. It's more than up to the task. And it has paddles, so I can shift it myself. One of the things I dislike about GM's 8-speed gearbox is the logic behind it. When I put it into manual mode, grab a paddle, I remove that GM logic and insert my own Vulcan mind meld level logic. It becomes far more logical. You can also adjust the driving modes of this car. In standard, guise, when you first turn it comes on in touring. There's also sport, and then there's one for snow and ice. Now this does the usual tricks that you would expect by changing modes. This has magnetic ride suspension, so it stiffens it up, It increases the weight of the steering, it increases the throttle response, it does some neat little things. Now this car does come standard with that magnetic ride suspension, and that's a great thing because it's a great suspension system. You can feel the difference between the touring and the sport modes. When I hit the highway to go home, I will have it in touring and it'll be a nice comfortable ride. Here on the road, I'll have it in sport and the little green checkered flag appears right there on the gauge cluster. Now this gauge cluster is one of those TFT screens where you can move things around. It'll show you what music's playing. You can have your nav information up. It's a nice little system. It looks fine. It doesn't look like a high-end luxury car's gauge cluster, but it looks very close to it. And this is where we start to get into the underwhelming bits. The base price of a Cadillac CT6 is a very respectable $50,000+. I think $53,000. The one I'm driving here is $82,000. And you can spec it out to about $88,000, $89,000, $90,000. That doesn't compute. That's where the CT6 argument starts to fall apart for me. This one also has that highly vaunted 34 speaker sound system. It's from Bose, but it's called the Pan Array. It's the Bose Pan Array system. And that's supposed to mean like panoramic array, so it's a big sound array. The idea is that it creates a giant sound stage. All I'm getting is muddled music. This is probably one of my most disappointing parts of the car because I love good sound systems. I love the Bang & Olufsen systems that are out there. I love the Burmeister systems. I love some of the Hardin stuff that you'll find in Chrysler's SRT lineups. Those are actually brilliant little sound systems. I say little, those are 17, 18 speakers. Here, I expect it to be blown away, and I'm not. And now that could be due to the limitations of what the music is playing through my phone. I've done Bluetooth, I've done it with the iPhone cord, I've done it through CarPlay, not through CarPlay. It's just not very clean. It's not as separated as I would have liked. It's fine, but I mean, when you're touting a 34 speaker sound system, I want that to wash over me like a wave and touch all my naughty bits and make weird things happen that I wouldn't expect inside a car. It doesn't do that. I still come back to that price and I'm having a hard time swallowing it. We're dealing with a slightly nicer, little bit bigger Cadillac CTS. Yeah, there's definitely more room in the back seat. I easily fit my baby seat back there. And if that wasn't there, I'd have the armrest down and those seats are pretty luxurious. There's massaging options, there's tablet options. If you're in the Chinese market, you can have TV tuners installed. Can't do that in the US. But that's what, honestly, this car feels like. This feels like a Cadillac for the Chinese market, and they're offering it here in the US because they like their long wheelbase cars there. I'd rather just save some bucks, get a Cadillac. Hell, I mean, not everybody who's gonna buy a CT6 would want a CTS-V. You don't need that. That's why you can get it with that 2-liter turbo, or the 3.6-liter V6, or even this 404 horsepower engine. You don't need to go nuts and get the V. The V is awesome. I'd get the V if I had the money. Here in the Cadillac, the seats are nice and comfortable. They're heated and ventilated. There's some haptic touchpad stuff going on. I long for some regular buttons, but if I want to change the volume quickly enough, there's some buttons on the steering wheel. And I do like steering wheel buttons because you can keep your eyes on the road. Speaking of keeping your eyes up, there is that heads-up display, which looks great. GM has really evolved that nicely over the years where the display itself is cleaner and easier to read and just looks really nice. It's telling me what music is playing, definitely Pearl Jam radio going on, because that's what you listen to when you're me. The ride itself is cushy. It doesn't roll as much as I'd expect when I really push it. This also has active rear steering, which is part of the car that is surprising and really appreciated. At certain speeds, it acts where it turns in the opposite direction of your front wheels, and it makes it more agile. At higher speeds, like changing lanes on a highway, it turns in the same direction of your wheels, and it adds more stability. Really neat little tricks going on. With all of that, though, I just don't know. 82,000 feels wrong. 72,000, that feels a lot better. Still tons of money, but when you're shopping in this space, you're still well below what the S-Class and the 7 Series cars cost, and you're above what well-optioned 5 Series E-Classes, A6s cost. So there's stuff out there that you'll find. It's just, I don't know if Cadillac's gonna find the buyers for this one. So right now I'm going to use one of those cliche automotive journalist terms that we all hate to use, but we actually secretly love to use. This Cadillac CT6 is polarizing. It's polarizing because I'm still confused about it. Is it a full-on luxury car? Is it a sport luxury sedan? It's a little bit of both. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, and it's kind of good at a few things, but it excels at neither. The engine is fun. The gearbox is okay. The interior is nice. The price tag feels a little off. The sound system is impressive on paper, not to my ears. The steering is fine. The driving modes are clearly delineated and very nice. Touring feels great on the highway. Sport feels better than expected out here on the Hooniverse Highway hooning grounds and keeps the body flatter than expected. Additionally, that active rear steering is pretty bitchin'. So there are many things to like. There are many things to dislike. This is just proof that Cadillac needs to get rid of this car. And hear me out on this. They have the CTS. That's good. They have the XTS. That's not great. Ditch the CT6 and give us the full-size, hot-blooded American V8 Cadillac we all want. Make it $100,000, but make it worth $100,000 and take over the luxury space. Because I know you have it in you, Cadillac. You've shown that you can do that with your luxury sports cars. The CTS-V is absolutely world-class. The ATS-V is fantastic. GM as a whole is doing it. The new Corvette is absolutely 100% a world-class sports car. The new Camaro, and I hate Camaros, is really good. That Alpha platform is fantastic. GM has it in them, which means Cadillac has it in them to create the car that will make the Europeans pause and take notice and reconsider something like this. And I know all you Euro snobs out there are like, ugh, I cannot put down my cheese. I will choke on my wine before I buy your Budweiser shill. Well, you're wrong, because America makes the best beer in the world too. Now we just need to start making the best luxury cars in the world. It did not like that. All right. I'm sweating my ass off now. Sweating it right off. It's gone. Well, you're wrong, because America makes the best beer in the world too. Now we just need to start making the best luxury cars in the world. Yes, tied in beer.